Hello everyone, thank you for joining me again. In our previous videos, we looked at food preservation using canning. Now, when you do canning, your food will generally last from a year to 18 months. Today, we're going to talk about another method of food preservation using Mylar bags. Mylar bags are foil packets that are used for food storage. Now, when you use these can store your foods for anywhere longer than a year or 2 years, even more. The benefit of using Mylar bags is they protect your food against moisture. They protect your food against rodents that will, eat up your food and make you have to throw it away. They also protect your food against light. Now, light is very important because when light comes in contact with your food, it will destroy the vitamins in the food, such as your vitamin A and your vitamin C. Not only that, but Mylar bag also prevents your food from going rancid over a shorter period of time. When you think about Mylar bags, they generally come in a different range of sizes. You can get a pint bag, you can get a 1 gallon bag, you can get 1.5 gallon, 2 gallons, all the way up to 6 gallon Mylar bag. And that depends on the type of food that you're going to store. One more important point to consider is that the thickness of the Mylar bag that you're going to use. I generally use a 5.4 or greater because that is really thick. If you use less than a 5, what will happen is that it will be so thin that light will be able to go through your bag, and that would void the purpose of longer food storage. When you use Mylar bag, another thing you want to add to make the benefit even greater is oxygen absorbers. Now, oxygen absorbers come again in different units. You use this because, as the name suggests, oxygen absorber, it absorbs the oxygen that is going to be within the bag. When it does that, there will be no moisture as well, and so you will not have bugs hatching while they're in the bag. And what happens is it sucks out the oxygen that will prevent the food from going bad, the bugs from hatching, and so on. When we talked about the thickness of the bag, another thing to mention is that, when you are preserving your food, you can do anything dried. You talk about your beans, your flour, your oats, your cornmeal, things like that in their natural state that is dried. When you, for storing beans, people suggest, using beans in Mylar bag, but I wouldn't do that because it has oils, and the oils, when it comes in in contact with the oxygen absorber, how it breaks down, we don't know how it's going to break down over time. So it's best not to use that. What you can do is store your nuts or your seeds in the freezer, or just put them in a glass jar. The thickness also is important because things with pointed edge, sharp edges, like if you buy bulk spaghetti and you're not going to use all your spaghetti in one go, or if there was a good sale at the store and you stocked up on spaghetti, the thickness of the bag is very important because the edges of the spaghetti, they could puncture your bag, and that again would void the purpose of you preserving that item. We talked about the benefits of using Mylar bags, being that it protects your food from going rancid. It also prevents bugs from getting in your food. It prevents nutrient loss by light getting into your food. Another thing you want to consider is that Mylar bags are excellent for storing food for a long period. Some people reported that, they had Mylar bags for 40 years and they smell great, taste great, and that's fine. However, if you are doing long-term storage, do use Mylar bags. If anything less than a year, I would suggest putting bay leaves around your pantry because that deters bugs. If you don't have access to bay leaves, you can put diatomaceous earth also at the base of your pantry, and that will prevent bugs from getting into your food. Now, we have a working pantry where I go out and I buy bulk. I like shopping in buying bulk because you get more for less. And if I know I'm not going to use 50 pounds of oats within a year, then I will store it. And the items that I've stored 2-3 years ago, I'm going to use those first to make sure that the older items are always used first, and then I have a fresh supply. When you do consider using Mylar bags, think of long-term storage. You have people who preserve with Mylar bags and they have their food stashed away for years upon years. And that's fine because we know we're supposed to be preparing for a time of crisis, which we never know what's going to happen. And we did mention that Mylar bags, they don't work well with oils. So you're nuts, anything oily, we shouldn't put it in Mylar bag with the oxygen absorber. Also, your sugars. If you put sugar within a Mylar bag and add an oxygen absorber to it, it's going to be like a brick and it's not going to taste good. Okay, so your dried fruits, these are items that you do not typically use a Mylar bag for. In addition, your food with a lot of preservatives. We don't know how the preservatives are going to react to the oxygen absorber over time as they break down. So these are things that we wouldn't put in the Mylar bag. But your beans, your oats, your rice, your cornmeal, pasta, things that are dried in their natural state, those are excellent for storing in Mylar bags. So come on in and we'll get some food storage going. When you go to purchase your oxygen absorber, you'll find that they come in varying sizes. You'll have 100, 200, 500, 1000, all the way up to 2000 cc's. Okay, and when you purchase them, you want to make sure that it comes with a little pink paper inside. That means that it's good. If this is blue, then that means your oxygen absorbers are not good. The amount of oxygen absorber you'll use in each bag depends on the size of the bag and the item that you're going to be preserving. For items that are very dense, like your grains, these will take a less oxygen absorber. But items that are not so dense, such as your beans, they're going to require more oxygen absorbers. When you do open your oxygen absorber kit, you have to move very quickly because it's going to be absorbing oxygen, and then they're not going to be good over time. So you have to be very quick. Now I have this 500 cc pack, but I'm not going to open this one because I recently opened some and I stored them in a mason jar. So when you do purchase your bags and you're going to start for the very first time, you get your oxygen absorber in a packet like this. It's sealed rock hard. You're going to want to make sure that you have a jar handy so that you can put the oxygen absorber that it's not being used in there right away. When you do for your preservation, you need a flat iron or a closed iron to seal the bags. Very important, you're going to need a seal. So here we have a 25-pound bag of rice that I picked up at the store, and I have a lot of rice already that I'm working on. So we're going to go ahead and preserve this. And I have Michael and Joshie here to help me. So we're going to fill up our bag halfway. And this is a 1 gallon bag. And when we're doing rice, there is a website that you can go on. It's USDA. Let me see. I'm thinking about it. It's USDA, US Emergency Supply.com. USEmergencySupply.com. It gives you a lot of information. You can also have the option to purchase your bags there and your oxygen absorber. And it tells how many oxygen absorbers you should put in each gallon bag or 5-gallon bag or pint bag. And I just like to double up. You can't be too sure. So I have a 600 oxygen absorber that I'm going to put in here, even though, for this size bag, a 500 cc oxygen absorber would be more than sufficient. Also, I want to mention that you can use Mylar bag that have a Ziploc. Those are convenient so that if you take out your items, you can go ahead and store it once you use it. And so we have one bag here. Hold on to that, Joshie, please. And then we have another one. Again, that website is usemergencysupply.com. You scroll through, you look for food storage, and you get some valuable information there. Can you hold this for me, please, Michael? So you notice I put the oxygen absorber in and I close my jar right away because I would not want all of those to go bad. And you put some in there. The next thing we're going to do is, Michael, hold on to yours, Joshie. Hold this over here, Papa. We're just gonna go down and use our iron to give us a good seal. And I'll show you what that looks like. You can use an iron or a flat iron, whichever you have handy. Yes, it's hot, so be careful. And that's what it looks like. If you're working with different items, you want to make sure that you label it first so that you don't get confused. All right? So that's one. And we'll just do this one. You want to put the item that you're storing as well as the date. Okay. This one I have too much in. And there we have it. Okay, Joshie, can we show them?
You can touch them. Touch it. Yeah, it's not gonna burn you. But do it like that. Do it.
Another thing I like about Mylar bag is that they're reusable. So if you use something from a bag and you realize that you're not going to use all of it, you can just go ahead, cut it down to size, replace the oxygen absorber, and reseal it. Now, within 24 hours to a week, you'll start noticing that your bags will shrink, and that's your oxygen absorber at work. It's going to suck all the air out of it, and so it will get like a brick, right? And that's how you preserve food for long-term storage. So I hope you go out and try it, get some Mylar bag, get some happy oxygen absorber, and happy storage.